It's Rhema Brekky on your Friday morning, playing all the latest and the greatest in Christian music. That's the Swedish supergroup there, Lynn D with Yahweh. Good to have your company. Mick Wright with you through until 9 o'clock this morning. Make sure if you're out and about on the road, take it easy out there, won't you? Of course, drive to those conditions. It's 10 minutes after 8, and it is that time of the month. A brand new segment that we've got on. It is called Mental Health Matters, and a very special guest to kick us off this morning, Dave Jereb, who is an author of Challenging the Story. He's also from Move About Therapy Services. Dave, nice to have you company this morning, mate.
Hey, Mick, it's really great to be with you this morning. A lot of fun.
Nice to have you in the studios, and this is your first time in here as well?
It is, yeah.
Oh, mate, you'll be a pro by the end of this. Don't worry about that.
We'll have fun.
People will be calling in, hey, get that guy back on. We love him. So no problems at all. Now, again, this is a very, very special day for us here at Breakfast Show, because this is, again, the first day of a brand new monthly segment that we'll be having. And we want to look at obviously the mental health of children and adolescents. This is something we've been cooking up for quite a while. Of course, it's all part of Coast Kids Day Out and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, the lovely Nada Potter was with us just a little while ago now, talking about how we're going to put this thing together and some of the topics that we're going to cover. And today we are going to be looking at emotional regulation. Pretty big topic, this one, Dave.
It's a big one. Yeah, I think it's something that even people who don't know what it is, I think parents can start to get an inkling about what we might be talking about. And hopefully we've got a few tips to help people out.
Yeah, look, I was in one of the shopping centres yesterday and walking around, and I thought, yep, there's probably some emotional regulation could be used in here, screaming kids and then screaming adults and everything else. And I thought, it's always... So probably the thing we should get into this morning, exactly what is emotional regulation?
Yeah, look, and it's hard to tease apart from other types. So there are different types of regulation we talk about.
Yep.
I'm an occupational therapist, and we often talk about sensory regulation, and that's how we use our sensations to wake our body up or calm our body down. Behavioral regulation is sort of that end product of how we act. Mm-hmm. And emotional regulation really ties those things in between. It's, how we take in that information and we start to organize how we're feeling so that then we can respond in a way that helps us engage, helps us learn, helps us be good friends and play partners and do what we need to do.
So why is it so important for kids? And I mean, obviously you guys and yourself as an occupational therapist and other people in your field who really work with a lot of kids, younger people and that, and the parents. Why is it so important for them?
Look, it's the basis for everything. If you're not regulated, you're not learning. If you're not regulated, you're not in a state where you can engage with others.
Yep.
So we see things like meltdowns, or even if you're overexcited or wound up, and it's just really being grounded so that you can connect and you can learn and you can engage in a way that really helps you be successful.
So do you think that this, and I mean, look, I'm a Gen Xer, so, back in the day when we were at school, it was kind of almost just the one-size approach fits everybody. You know what I mean? Okay, this is how we're going to educate kids, and there won't be any departure from this. And if you've got those sort of kids who are maybe a little bit more active or a little bit more underactive than others, it kind of fell through the cracks. And it's something I think that we've gotten a little bit better at discovering. How are you finding it these days with kids in school? I mean, obviously there's a lot more awareness of this now.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I have to say schools are more the same than different. But I do think that, yes, we're understanding. And I do think that being child-centered in how we're looking to help them is really the way to go. If I can sort of think about that school, my Mr. Smith, the 8th grade science teacher, with that compliance-based approach.
Yep.
I sort of think about these different profiles where that one's really about getting the adult's need met, being a compliance caregiver, and it's structured so it's predictable, but it's about getting their need met, and it doesn't help that child get that internal compass because they're just controlling it. You need to be there if you're going to be a compliance caregiver, and I slip into that sometimes. The flip side is a comfort caregiver, where it's sort of this free-range parenting with the child's the boss of the household, and that's very child-focused and seems nice, but it's actually quite scary to be a child and to be the boss. Like, you look to your parents for some guidance, and so that also doesn't help them get that compass to know how to respond and to be successful. If you lose both, if you're just haphazard and about you, that's a chaos caregiver. We want to be a connected caregiver, right? The key to supporting your child and their big feelings and their behaviors is being connected. When things go wrong, thinking about how to help them be more successful, but having a strategy to it. Do you want to hear a story from my own experience?
Absolutely.
So I'm an occupational therapist. I work with kids. My wife is as well, and we do get it wrong all the time. She's certainly much better than I am, but so I'm sitting at the sink, up to my elbows in soap suds, trying to grapple with the lasagna from from that night's baking dish, trying to get it off, and I hear that giggle. That giggle that, like, my kids are cute and their giggle's beautiful, but there's a giggle that you don't want to hear at 10 past 8 at night.
I've just done something and I'm not sure if the parents are going to approve this one.
Yeah, or not even that. They're not even tuning into the parents because it's this laughing, and I see these feet flying over the back of the couch and ahead, and it's WrestleMania Couch Edition.
Yeah,
Kathy's in the laundry trying to wrestle the last of the washing into the dryer. We're all having a wrestle match. And you hear that giggle, and I'm like, I should stop and go sort this out before something goes wrong. But I have 3 dishes I just need to get 3 dishes and we can go to bed.
Yep.
And so Kathy's like, toilet, teeth, bed. They don't listen. There's more giggles. And I do that dad thing where I'm like, can you just listen to your mum? It's half pleading, half annoyed. And then you hear the silence. It's like, oh, they've listened to me. And then you hear the bang as they hit the floor. And so you race over. I'm a mixture of upset and angry. I'm not regulating my own emotions in that moment. And am I angry at them? No, I'm more angry at myself because I wholly saw this coming. And, so we put that together, send my oldest for an ice pack. But I send them down. They're feeling shame because I've just scolded them. I'm feeling shame because I knew it. So there's all these emotions that aren't working out. Mm-hmm. Then I go down to bed and I try and sort of make up for it with one of my great dad's jokes, which they're having none of. And my eldest says to me, Dad, I don't like it when you yell. It makes my brain freeze. And I'm like, yeah, but and I start to make excuses, and he says it again, holds me accountable. He says, Dad, it makes our brain freeze. And I'm like, oh, mate, I know, I scared you and I was scared too. I'll try not to do it again. Can you try not to wrestle? And they're like, yeah. And as I leave, those words ring in my head. It makes my brain freeze. And this really gets to the heart of regulation. Yep. When kids are angry, or when kids are stressed, or when kids are worried, or when they're scared, or when they're overtired and overexcited, their brains freeze, right? They can't access the top of the brain, which is your thinking and reasoning brain, or the front of your brain, which is where you put the brakes on and you avoid doing something you shouldn't do and you can think about the consequences. So I make a little plan. If this happens again, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to go over and help them. I'm going to connect before I direct, right? And luckily enough, they gave me that opportunity to put that in practice the next night because I'm washing the dishes and I hear the giggles and, so I dry my hands off. I take a breath. That's the one thing, if there's nothing else you take away from it. Usually when they're dysregulating, you look at yourself and you are too. You're probably co-dysregulating. You're not breathing. You're holding your breath. Maybe your heart's beating fast. Stop and take a breath. Get yourself grounded because you can't help them if you're not grounded. And then I go over and I get down a level. I'm like, pause. And they look at me like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. And I'm like, guys, what's happening? And they're like, we're wrestling again. It's like, why do you think we don't want you to wrestle on the couch? Oh, because we could fall off and get hurt. Yeah, that's right. And so how about we put some wrestling into our schedule for tomorrow night? Not tonight. We've got to go to bed, but we'll do it over on the rug where it's safe. I'll join you. They're like, yeah, that's great. It's like, what could you do now that would be something that would be quiet while you're waiting for mum and dad? We could play Lego. They come up with a plan. So what I've done there is I've connected and I've got them to start to tune in, them to start to get the answers. So then they have the skills next time it happens rather than just controlling it in the moment and then controlling it in the next moment. Because that being a connected caregiver is the key to supporting your child with challenging behaviors and with big emotions without damaging your relationship and actually strengthening it. And, in reality, it's the best way to go. But also in reality, you're going to get it wrong more times than not. And I guess if there's one other tip I'd give people is don't be hard on yourself. That's okay. Actually, regulation and resilience come in that repair. Yeah. So you don't have to try and get it wrong to repair. We'll get it wrong plenty of times and give you that opportunity to repair. But being able to say, yeah, I got it wrong. Not that the child's right all the time, but I did get it wrong. I'm the adult. I've got a fully developed brain. And so I should have known where that was going and I should have been there to support them.
Yeah. Now, look, how will that set them up? That kind of interaction that you have with the kids in that particular instance, how will that actually benefit the child in the long run? How will it help them set them up to be emotional regulators? Because it sounds like, obviously your kids sound like they're pretty in tune with things. They're actually being able to put words to some of the things that they're actually feeling, where a lot of kids really can't do that. A lot of adults can't even do that. It's either I feel angry, therefore I am angry, or something.
Yeah, I don't want to get too kind of sciencey, but there's some great research around attachment relationships.
Sure.
And be able to have this healthy attachment bond where you can co-regulate with your child can really set them up for life. It really can. And that co-regulation comes before self-regulation. So particularly with a baby's helpless. They can't regulate any of their needs, and you're there. But actually through life, our and if I can get a little bit sciencey here.
Do it. We love it.
Our executive functions, that's the part that is our thinking and our reasoning and our looking at consequences, looking in the future, and being able to control our responses when you just want to punch someone but you stop yourself from doing it, right? That's not fully developed until 25, for women, and 30 for men, right? And we're expecting kids that are 4, 5, 6 to self-regulate. And the reality of it is it just isn't true. And actually, in all honesty, I sometimes say it's not a thing for any of us. You and I are here. We are not self-regulating. We are co-regulating or co-dysregulating. If you started pulling some faces like, come on, you're pulling my leg here. This isn't true. I don't believe you. I'm going to start getting anxious because you're not buying it. And we start co-dysregulating. So when you're with other people, you're never self-regulating. And for kids, they need our support and our guidance. And that starts to ingrain some patterns in how they respond that will serve them all through life. I guess the other thing is when we connect. Can I add one more sciencey thing that I get really excited about?
Bring it.
All right. So have you ever heard of oxytocin? This is the love drug, right?
Absolutely.
Mums get it with breastfeeding and infant bonding, but dads get it too, and loving, joyful relationships and also compassion, right? When you connect, you start to wash the brain with oxytocin. So exciting. And when that oxytocin washes over other parts of the brain, there's this part called the amygdala, right? This little almond-shaped thing that's your fear brain, right? And that's what's going off when these kids are having this emotional dysregulation. And there's also stress pathways. When oxytocin washes over those things, it calms them down. It says, you're not needed here because I'm safe. So if we can get more moments of connection, more moment and co-regulation and connection, I actually can't separate them. So if you're connecting with your kids, you're being a model for their system to learn, here's how I can respond, and also here's how I can recover when my system's a little bit stressed out.
Yeah, just quite like I'm so into this stuff. I'm just study it all the time, so I love it. So some great practical tips there, of course. Now we are talking with a very special guest this morning, Dave Jereb. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Dave right after this. It's Rhema Brekky here on your Friday morning. Good to have your company. Mick Wright with you through until 9 o'clock this morning. And, of course, we are joined by a very, very special guest, Dave Jereb, who's been giving us some great information this morning on emotional regulation. And, of course, this is our brand new monthly segment, Mental Health Matters. Now, Dave, to wrap us up this morning, a few tips and strategies for the parents out there listening in this morning and thinking, we could probably do with this at home.
Yeah, we talked in the last part about how co-regulation comes before self-regulation, right? So we need to be there to support them. But, first you need self-regulation of the co-regulator, right? We need to regulate our own emotions and our own bodies. And the first thing I would say is, like, if something's not going right, if they're having big feelings, you need to tune inside and think, what's my body doing? And usually you're holding your breath, your heart's beating through your chest. Take a big audible breath. When you do that, you help yourself get that rhythm of that breath back. But when you do a big audible breath, often it's contagious. If you tell someone to breathe, they'll tighten up and they won't breathe well. But if you just do one, it's contagious. And so that can help them. So I would say that tuning in with yourself and taking a breath is the first step. And then I said connect before you direct, right? So if we can connect, we get that.
I like that so much.
It's so good, and it's a concept. It is. I think it's from Dan Siegel, who wrote Whole Brain Child, and it really is about getting that oxytocin flowing on the brain, so that can help you calm that stress response as well. Get that connection, then you can support them. You can be an anchor for them in those tricky times. And then the last one would be repair. You're going to get it wrong lots. I get it wrong lots. We've got 2 OTs in our household, and we get it wrong. Me more than Kath, but it's okay because regulation and resilience comes through the repair. And so as long as you bring it back together again and you go, look, I didn't handle this right, here's how we could do it next time, you start to strategize and make a plan. And it's great to just form yourself a little system that you can follow to be able to reflect and prepare yourself for next time. Yeah,
now look, we were talking off air as well about you have a great little system to follow if you want to help to, support the emotional regulation of the kids, the ABCs.
Yeah, the ABC ideas framework. And so this is a framework that I teach in the Challenging the Story of Behaviour online workshop that's for parents and for professionals. Really, it's basically the ABCs have been around for ages. We look at the behavior first and we look at it objectively. Just what's happening, not what do we feel about it, but what's sort of what's actually going on. Antecedents, what happens before it, and it could be the seconds before it, the minutes before it, the morning leading up, the sleep the night before, right? Those things all matter for how they respond right now.
Sure.
Consequences is not how you punish a kid, but what typically happens after. Sometimes the way we respond makes it more likely to happen. But then the ideas is their individual differences. What's unique about your child and the way they approach situations? Are they more extroverted or introverted? Do they respond to sensation in different ways? Development is our approach and what we're asking them to do at the moment at the right developmental level. So me expecting my child to self-regulate at 8:15 when he's 7 and he's not got my support is not developmentally appropriate. And so he needs my support in that activity that I'm asking him to do. I skip to the A there, that's activities. Jump back up to the E in ideas is environment. Sensory and physical environments can impact how kids respond as well. So, if in the old days when we used to go Christmas shopping in the shopping centre, if my wife Kath had dragged me out 2.5 hours in, I'm in sensory overload. I'm going to be more snappy, more reactive. Environment does impact that. And the final, the S, is social relationships. And the whole theme of this should be that connection is the key to supporting your child in their big feelings. Once you put those together, you can see that there are aspects that are about the child.
Yep.
And also a lot of aspects that are beyond the child, the activity, the environment, and particularly that social environment. And my hot tip is if you're having some struggles with behavior or struggles with emotional regulation, big emotions, the quickest way to support that child, the quickest fix is not changing the child.
Right.
The quickest fix is adjusting that context to be more supportive, to meet their needs. And so that could be changing the physical environment. It could be changing the activity to be at a level that's appropriate for them and meaningful and interesting. It could be about how you respond to be able to connect with them, get their thinking brain glued down and get them open to learning and engaging and connecting. You are your child's best resource. And so, I think that's the key. It's that sometimes parents don't actually, they feel like they need an expert to help them. But if you can find that sense of groundedness in yourself and just connect with your kids, that can make a really, really big difference. Can I add one tiny little anecdote? The connection can happen in a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
And so if you're going, this all sounds too much, he mentioned all these different things. Here's my one goal for you. I call it a 10-second connection anchor. And it's something I put into practice in my household about a year ago, and it's so amazing. When I say goodbye to my kids, you go, hey, mate, have a great day at school. And yeah, Dad, have a great day. It's like, hold on, wait. Hey, mate. And then I wait. And then they tune into me, and I go, have a great day today, right? Takes 10 seconds. Yep. And what I see when they tune into me and they see that I see them, they feel felt. You might hear those terms. Yep. You see them gush, right? And here's what I want to say to you, Mick. It's a level of connection that if I did it with you, it'd be a bit awkward, mate. I have to tell you, it has a level of intimacy to it that is awkward when we get that oxytocin. I think we've got a bit of oxytocin flowing here.
Man.
I feel pretty good. But just that little bit of that gushiness for about 10 seconds, and it just washes oxytocin, that love drug, over the brain, calms their nervous system, sets them up for success. Put in that 10-second connection anchor, and you'll never look back. And if there's any teachers out there, man, if you've got tricky kids in your class, start your day with that, and you'll never look back.
Yeah, brilliant. Dave, look, it's been an absolute blast having you this morning, mate. Can't wait to have you back at some time in the future for sure. Looking forward to it. And now, look, if people want to, obviously there's been a whole lot of great content mentioned here this morning. If people want to get onto some of what you do, what you're about with Move About Therapy Services, how can they track you down and find that out?
Yeah, they can find us at moveabout.com.au, and we've got resources and courses. We do occupational therapy primarily, and they can certainly find my book, Challenging the Story, on Amazon as well.
Brilliant. Amazon best-selling author. There you go.
It was.
There you go. Moveabout.com.au is the website to go to. Yep. So you'll be able to find heaps of great resources on there, particularly for the parents who are listening in. You want to get that emotional regulation happening between, well, just not in your own life, but in the lives of your kids as well, and between the two of you. That's the place to go to it. Dave Jereb, thank you so much, mate. Again, looking forward to, we'll get you back in at some point down the track for sure.
Thanks, Mick.
No problem at all, mate. Stay with us. This is Rhema Brekky on your Friday morning. We got the news next.